Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm so excited to be talking about productivity and mom life. For those of you who have maybe watched some of my previous videos or follow me on Instagram, you might know that I have two young girls. One is almost 3.5, one is 1.5, and I'm just returning from a long mat leave. And let me tell you, the past couple years with COVID and a working husband who works long hours and just going back to work and trying to manage a house and coming back from renos, it's been a lot. And these tips and things that I'm going to share with you have really helped me try to increase my productivity and just like manage life and get it under control. So I'm so excited to share them because I'm hoping that these will help you guys, because I know a lot of you guys out there are moms and are busy and have hectic schedules. So let's get right into it. And you let me know down below if these tips help for you and if there's any tips that you guys have that you want to share with the rest of us, because we all want to know. Okay. And guys, I just laid it out here, my outline of what we'll talk about, and I know it kind of doesn't look aesthetic. I am very sorry. It kind of reminds me of like those projector overheads. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? But this, I figure, was the quickest way to get the point across, and it's easy to see, so hopefully you guys don't mind. Okay, getting right into it, I first wanted to just talk about productivity and what it means to me and what I think about when I'm thinking about increasing productivity. So the three things that I broke it down into was, one is remembering everything, remembering your events, remembering your tasks, remembering your things to do for the kids, for your husband, for you, right? If you can't remember it, then you can't do it, right? So that's the first part. Second is, how then do you fit all of that stuff in? We only have 24 hours in a day and 7 days a week, and how do you fit everything in, right? So managing that. And then 3 is, how do you then get all of it done? I think for a lot of us who are planner people, we are really good at maybe 1 and 2 and maybe not so much at 3, which is then having the motivation to do it or even making the move to actually get it done, right? So you really have to have all 3 of those things to increase your productivity or be productive. Let me know if you agree with that. If you don't, please comment and let us know down below. I always love hearing other people's thoughts. This is just what I think, right? Okay, so then now I'm going to go through and detail each of these items and hopefully give you guys some tips on how to improve in those areas and how to get those things done. Okay, so the first part we're talking about is remembering everything. I don't know about you guys, but honestly, sometimes just like at like 9 p.m. when I'm like in bed or about to go to bed, I like think of something important and I'm lying in bed, the lights are off, and like I have no way to like write it down. And I'm just like, oh, I'll just do it in the morning. Or I'm driving and something will pop into my head. I'm like, well, I'm driving. I can't stop and write it down. So I'm going to give you some tips, hopefully that will combat those situations if you have had those situations. And the very first thing that I have for you, and really the key thing that I use 90% of the time now, I would say, is hands-free voice reminders. So whether you have iPhone or whatever, Android, whatever, I couldn't remember what it's called. I was thinking Galaxy. Oh, I'm terrible. Is that a sign of getting old or what? Okay, so yeah. Voice reminders, right? Like the series, the whatever, but I also have the Apple Watch, and obviously you don't need to have a watch. You don't need any kind of watch, but you could do it on your phone as well. Is like, say I'm driving or I'm in the middle of doing something, which I constantly and always am when I think of something important. So all I do is I don't know why I'm showing you this step, but I'll just show you guys, but I just hold this down to activate Siri and I can just ask them to remind me something, right? So like, remind me tonight at 7 p.m. to do the laundry. Done. Right? And then I kind of use that as what I would call an inbox system. And what you can do is then, you guys, I don't need to teach you guys this, but you just go into your reminders. And I always set it, I would just say, remind me tonight. And it doesn't matter when they remind you, really. But then I have all my reminders in my reminders app. And I don't necessarily use them as like, I need to do it at that moment. This is my inbox system where I carry over those reminders to my daily planning. I find with remembering and capturing everything, the key is to capture it when you think of it. A lot of the time, if I don't write it down in that moment, I'll forget about it and it won't come back to me, or it'll come back to me too late. So having a really accessible and easy way to track and capture everything is really, really important. The other thing I have written down here is the GTD method. And if you guys don't know what that is, I'll link one of my videos where I kind of talk about high level and overview of what that is. But that really talks about, capturing everything and creating this inbox and blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. I won't go into the details. You can refer to that video. But like, for example, I do also have a master list of inbox items, to-do items that I need to do, whether it's ideas, events, to-do lists. Okay. And this is an insert from my shop. And in case you guys aren't planner people, I won't go into details. You guys can watch that video, but I'll link everything down below. Okay, so some sort of inbox system. What I wouldn't necessarily recommend, unless you're really good about keeping track of this, is like random sticky notes or random notepads everywhere, because what I used to do that actually. And what happened to me is I would write down sticky notes or write down random lists all over the house, and they would just get lost because I didn't have a routine or system of collecting it. Also, it was like I was capturing it on paper, but I wasn't really capturing it into my planning or my way of remembering things. Does that make sense, guys? But of course, if you guys have one spot that you'll always remember to write everything down and you always check, that's completely fine. I just don't find that that worked for me, or that I was that consistent. I really, really strongly urge you, because everybody these days has a phone, pretty much everybody has a smartphone, and there is a way of using a voice function to remember all your items. And I just think that is a much better way, especially as a mom. You're always doing things, you're carrying kids, you're helping kids do this or that, you're always mid doing something. That is the best way that I have found to capture everything in any moment, okay? Okay, so now that you've captured everything, how do we fit everything in, right? And how I have been doing this and really trying to get it all done is using a combination of timer reminders as well as obviously daily planning. And I'll talk about some of the other little tips. But first, let's talk about timer reminders and daily planning. For those of you who have watched my previous videos, you guys know that I plan, usually every night for the next day. You guys can do it in the morning or the night before, but I really do find daily planning helps a lot because it reminds you what you have to do the next day, especially if these were some of the things that you had thought about, a week ago, a month ago, who knows when, right? Daily planning allows you to remember those items. And then in conjunction with that, I use timers for really time-sensitive tasks. So for example, like at 10 a.m. on Fridays, my daycare sends out basically the times that you have to log in to send your kids to school, to daycare for that day, right? And it's really time-sensitive because all the parents rush on and take all like the good times, basically the early drop-off times. And so it's super time-sensitive that I do it at that time, right when the link comes out. And so what I do is I do the same reminders that I was just showing you in part 1, but obviously instead of saying, remind me tonight, I tell myself on that day. So I would say, remind myself at, 9:56 on Friday a.m. that I have to do daycare times, so that I know in the next couple minutes I need to log back on and do that, right? And I do that because I don't check my planner every single minute of the day. And so that ensures that I will have something done, especially in that time sensitive moment. So I encourage you guys to use a combo of those, because even though we are good at, let's say, daily planning or using our planner or checking our planner, sometimes the really time sensitive things you just don't want to risk not doing, right? And so in addition to that, I would say that if you're trying to increase your productivity and really reduce the amount of time and effort that you have to spend to get your things done, a really good idea to do is batch tasking. And really what that is just combining tasks that are similar, is just the easy way to say it. And that was really helpful, especially if you have kids too, because for the tasks that are, let's say, 5-minute tasks or easy tasks that you can start and stop, those might be the good ones that you can do when the kids are doing homework. Or if you have young kids, that might be the good ones that you can do when the kids are preoccupied with toys for literally like the 3 minutes that it can hold their attention span. I don't know if that's everyone else's kids, but that's definitely my kids. And so if I batch my tasks, then I can just have that open. And when I'm with the kids, I know, oh, if I have a couple minutes, I can put in a load of laundry. I can start the dishwasher or whatever, right? I can fold a couple pieces of laundry. And the way that I organize mine is, again, back to the GTD system, where I put in, so for under the next actions, and you don't have to follow the GTD system to do this. You could just do a categorized, task list yourself. But I organize this for home, work, planner, errand, computer, and contact, i.e. make calls. But you can further subdivide this. So within home, I would have, laundry or dishes or whatever, or things that I might need to do for that day that are quick tasks. So you can call that subheading in the home quick tasks, right? But because my lists within each aren't super long, I just keep it as one list and then put it within there. Does that make sense? If you guys don't get that, just let me know down below. But really, batch tasking is just putting the tasks that are similar together. Like if you need to go run for an errand and you're going to the park with the kids, maybe you can stop by the post office. You can stop by, I don't know, whatever store to pick up an item or whatever it is. Does that make sense, guys? That really reduces and increases your productivity because you don't have to sit there and be like, okay, my kids have like 2 minutes, they're doing something. What can I do in these 2 minutes? And you got to scroll through your whole task list and be like, oh no, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that, right? If you've already have it pre-organized, then it's quick to do in that moment. The next thing, this is something that obviously probably everybody knows or have heard that they should do, whatever it is, waking up before the kids. For me, I'm an early bird, is that what they call it? A morning person. And so I always wake up early anyways. So I'm usually up around sometimes 4:30. It's ridiculous, 4:30 or 5 in the morning. And it just helps me feel like I'm ahead of the day when I wake up before my kids and, I'm able to, get ready or just put in a load of laundry or do something. That's what works for me. But really, I think it's just about working around your kids' schedule as well as your own. So if you're a night person and you put your kids down a bit earlier, like it's fine to do your tasks at night. I don't think it has to be in the morning. For me, I feel more productive in the morning, but some might feel more productive at night. Like my husband is not a morning person. Like if I gave him tasks to do in the morning, it would probably take him twice as long in the morning to do than at night because he's just so groggy. So if that's you, don't do it in the morning. But the whole point of this is it's kind of like the concept of time blocking, which is blocking that period of time when you have kid-free time to get things done. Okay, so that can be in the morning or the evening, but blocking out that time to do it. And then the third thing that has really, really, really like been, a life changer. Something that I have actually started doing when me and my husband first got together before kids is doing like a family schedule. So we use Google, but you can do this on a paper planner as well. Like you could just have a calendar that sits in the kitchen, and whenever somebody comes up with something or, has tasks or events, they just write it in that calendar. The reason why I don't use a paper planner for a family calendar is just that things change so often these days that like there would be like whiteout marks or scratch out marks like just in too many places, and it just wouldn't work for us. So what I use is just Google Calendar, and this is free. So this is free, so anyone can use it. Where is it? Okay. And what you can do is add separate calendars. So for example, I have here like Sean and my work calendar. This is when we're trying to coordinate my kids. This is my calendar. This is Sean's calendar. And then you can even add like reminders and tasks if you want to. So if you guys need a tutorial on that, just let me know and I will go through that in a different video, but that is really, really key for my family. Just because we both have different appointments, we have family appointments, he's scheduling things for us, I'm scheduling things for us, and if we both refer to this calendar, it just makes it so much easier instead of having to be like, oh, hey, are you free this day? And sometimes he's at work, sometimes I'm at work, and it would take like an hour before we can figure out like a time that works, and I just can't deal with that. So family calendar, I would say, is really, really key. And then 3 is, getting it done and finding the motivation to get it done. It's all nice and dandy and great if we're able to, do the first 2 and plan out our life to a T and, remember everything and just get it all down on paper and have it all planned out. But it's a whole other thing to then find the motivation to actually go and do it, after a long day with your kids who are screaming and yelling and going through leaps and tantrums and whatever. The last thing you want to do at night is like sit down and do chores or whatever, right? So getting it done is a whole other beast in itself, and it is the key to obviously increasing your productivity. So hopefully some of these items help you guys. But for me, first and foremost, I wanted to talk about, scheduling me time as well as getting enough sleep. Now that I've been through like 2, I guess, relatively quick pregnancies and having newborns and whatever, like if you don't get enough sleep and you're tired, nothing else matters, because like you can't get anything done when you're tired, right? You just don't have the motivation to do anything when you're tired. So on the nights that I'm just exhausted, I won't worry about trying to get that last thing done. I won't try to worry about, doing the laundry or whatever when I'm exhausted. On the days that I'm exhausted, I just put the kids down and go to bed, and that's it. I call it a day. So I think that's really, really important. We always talk about like trying to get things done as a mom and like being able to do it all. But like the first thing that we have to remember is taking care of ourselves. So that's why I put it in conjunction with me time. I mean, I think we have to take this with a grain of salt. When you have a newborn, like, yes, you don't have a lot of time for me time. Like, you just don't. Like, you're obviously not going to put me time over feeding your kids or whatever, right? But scheduling even that, like 10 minutes a day to do a little bit of journaling, 10 minutes a day to watch a little, I don't know, a YouTube video or something is really important, just to like, I don't know, like make yourself happy, right? Like if you're unhappy, and you're, not in a good mood, like that will affect everything you do. That will affect the way that you interact with your kids, your husband, and like that's not good for anybody, right? Like I'd rather be happy than like have my laundry done. Do you guys know what I mean? So just some sort of me time, 10, 15 minutes a day on busy days, it's totally fine, right? And then getting enough sleep. So the next thing I want to talk about is prioritizing. And I want to talk about this in a bit of a different way than what I traditionally see. Is usually people talk about prioritizing like, oh, do your 3 most important tasks that day. Yes, obviously, like I don't think you guys need me to tell you that. But when I think about prioritizing from a mom perspective, is I saw this quote a little while ago that really resonated with me, which was something along the lines of, good moms have dirty dishes, piles of laundry, clutter all around the house. It was a bit more eloquent than that, but this is the gist. Just a mess of a house, but happy kids. I really ruined that quote. I'm so sorry. You guys know what I mean? And that's the most important thing to think about, is that when your kids, especially when your kids are young, like your kids and your husband, it's priority over other things, right? When we talk about work, that's a little bit different. Of course, you do have deadlines, but at the end of the day, your kids and husband are priority. And so even if things are, late at work or whatever, it has to be later. Just think at the end of the day when you're, 99 or whatever, when you think back, what you're going to think about is the memories and the time spent with your kids, not, let's say, getting all your stuff done at work, advancing your work and being like a super all-star, right? That is, of course, important, super, super important. But what we should prioritize is our husband and our kids, right? And so I hope you guys agree with that. Not saying like don't work. I'm just saying sometimes we gotta just stop and have a bit of perspective, because I totally fall into that. Before kids, I was always like, oh yeah, I'm gonna focus on my career. Like, career is super important to me. And like now my perspective has changed a little bit as I, have different priorities and just get older, I guess. Yeah, okay, so the next thing is creating routines. And the reason why creating routines and kind of doing the similar thing every single day is important is because then you don't have to think about it. When you first start doing something, it's like, okay, now it's 9:00. What am I supposed to do now? Now it's 6:30. What am I supposed to be doing now? If you start getting into a routine, your mind won't be cluttered with, trying to remember the routine. You already have it down. So it's important to try to create a routine and do the same thing every single day. Again, I take that with a grain of salt, because with kids, you can't really predict them. A lot of the times, things do happen, but for the most part, you want to keep your schedule as similar as possible each day. And I would suggest that maybe trying the time blocking that we kind of discussed earlier and doing that for a month will really kind of implement that routine into your mind and have it down so that you're just going through it quickly each day. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this one, wireless headphones is actually like, I don't know, kind of been a game changer for me when my kids were a bit younger. So I don't know, sometimes it can work for older kids too, but you guys obviously know what wireless headphones are. These are just the ones I have. I don't know why I brought them to show you, but these are the Sennheiser, I think that's what they're called. I didn't want to get the iPhone ones because they're so expensive. And I was like certain I was going to lose these. Like, what the heck? Like, how do you keep track of this? Right? Anyways, the reason why I found this so helpful is it helps with the motivation of getting things done. So when my youngest was really little, like I would go for walks with her outside and she would just be in the carrier and she'd just be looking around. So during that time, instead of just wandering aimlessly outside, I mean, not aimlessly, but I'm looking at the trees and stuff. But what I really enjoyed was also listening to audiobooks. And I will link below actually the audio, what is it called? Audible from you guys know, Amazon, and you actually get 2 free books. At least I did when I joined, and then you can just cancel after the 30 days if you don't like it, but you can get 2 free books. And that's how I actually started listening to Getting Things Done. I'm sure you guys have heard of that productivity system by David Allen. But yeah, I listened to that book while I would be walking my daughter, and I would just listen to a little bit each day, and it was just so nice. And it was kind of like looking forward to that time to be able to, otherwise not be able to read a book or whatever. It was just so nice to be able to fit that in. And so it doesn't have to be Audible or audiobooks. It can be podcast or whatever, right? It's a form of learning too while you're with your kids, when you're not really having to engage with them and just having something, else to do or get done at that time. So wireless headphones, I just loved. And it really helped me, like I said, with the motivation part more so than really like getting done, I guess. But I guess they go hand in hand if you're motivated to go do a chore. Like also to do chores, you could wear those, right? Like if you're vacuuming or whatever, they're so good. I do that too. Is when I would be vacuuming or cleaning the dishes or whatever, I would have those in while I do it. It just made the chore so much easier to do, right? Okay, and the last thing is more towards, obviously, babies, is baby wearing. Oh my gosh. Ergo carriers. Well, that's the brand that I use. There's lots of baby carrying brands, but oh my gosh, are they ever a lifesaver? Because then you have both hands free, right? I will try to insert a picture here if I know how. I'm sure you guys all know what it is. Like, I don't even think I need to, I don't think I need to insert a picture. Ergo carriers, Baby Bjorn, what else are they? The ring slings, anything where you can like let go of your hands is just like life-changing. Yeah, so that's all I have, I think, for today. I hope you guys found some of these tips helpful and that it wasn't super repetitive from what you've already seen. If you guys have any questions, comments, I would love to hear from you guys down below. If you guys like this video or this style of videos about productivity, about mom life, please let me know down below. I love talking about this stuff. And thanks again for watching. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.